Okay, so now we're here, we're back. We're actually going to start writing, we're going to write the trig functions again, but now we're going to do it with numbers. Alright, so watch this. Alright, we're going to find sine, cosine, and tangent for angles A and B, and we're going to write it as each as a fraction. Alright, so let's just start with A. Alright, so with respects to angle A, this side's adjacent. In the future, we'll just maybe write A. This side is opposite. Notice how it doesn't touch angle A. Cursive O. And then the hypotenuse is always the hypotenuse. It never changes. Alright? So doing this, you're going to have sine of angle A. Remember, that's opposite over hypotenuse. So it's going to be 3/5. Okay, that's it. These are trig functions. We're just starting with the very basics. This is still foundations. Alright? Cosine of angle A is adjacent over hypotenuse, which would be 4/5. And tangent of A is opposite over adjacent, which equals 3/4. Okay? Now in the future, we'll just be writing like sine of angle A equals 3/5. Cosine of angle A equals 4/5. Tangent of angle A equals 3/4. Right now we're writing the opposite over hypotenuse and all that stuff because we're just building the foundations and still practicing. Alright, now we're going to do everything, but what happens if we're just focusing on B? Alright, so we can't focus on C. We're never going to focus on a 90-degree angle. We're always focusing on the acute angles, the two smaller ones. Alright, so now realizes that the 3 is now the adjacent side, 4 is now the opposite side, and the hypotenuse is always the hypotenuse. So when we switch the angles, adjacent and hypotenuse swap, hypotenuse those always hypotenuse. Now sine of angle B, again practicing just what's what, it's opposite over hypotenuse. Now the opposite side's 4, the hypotenuse is 5. Cosine of angle A, angle B, me done brain farted, is adjacent over hypotenuse, which is 3/5. And then lastly we have tangent of angle B is opposite over adjacent. In this case it'll be 4/3. Wow. Alright, so again, these are just the very basics. Alright, we're practicing writing relationships, fractions, ratios. When we expand on trig, trig's very useful because when you know if you're just given two side lengths of a triangle, you can find the angle measures. Or if you have an angle measure and a side length, you can find another side length. Alright. We're going to do the same thing. Usually in class I'd say do this on your own. You can pause the video, do this on your own, then check your work. That's probably a smart idea. If you just want to watch me do it, be my guest. Nonetheless, make sure you have the right answers. So again, we're starting with the basics. I'm going to circle angle A. That means this side's adjacent to angle A. This side's opposite of angle A. And hypotenuse is always a hypotenuse. Sine of angle A opposite over hypotenuse is 6/10. And remember, you want to reduce these 3/5. I'm going to talk about that why in the future. Cosine of angle A equals adjacent over hypotenuse equals 8/10, 4/5. And then tangent of angle A is going to be opposite over adjacent, 6/8, which is 3/4. Nice. Okay. Then we're looking at angle B. Angle B. Now notice how this side's the opposite side, it doesn't touch it. This side's the adjacent side because it touches angle B, and the hypotenuse is always hypotenuse. Alright? So sine of angle B opposite over hypotenuse, which is going to be 8 over 10, which reduces to 4/5. Cosine of angle B equals adjacent over hypotenuse, which equals 6/10, which equals 3/5. And then tangent of angle B, opposite over adjacent, so it's going to be 8 over 6, or 4/3. Alright, so comparing these ratios in example 1 and 2, what do we notice? Let's just look at the purple ones, even though it's true for the other ones. Look how they're all the same. Alright, these triangles, this triangle down here, it's a similar triangle relating it to what we just learned. It's a scale factor of 2. Notice how all the trigs are the same. Alright, all the ratios match up. Alright, trig ratios the same. You can even write triangles are similar. So this is actually a side effect of triangle similarity. So when it's a specific trig ratio the same, that means the angles are the same. So this is what we're going to build up to, but when we know this stuff, we're actually going to be able to solve for angle measures. Like this one's going to be 37 degrees. Alright, so when sine of angle A has a ratio of 3/5, that means this angle has to be 37 degrees. Alright, same with all these other trig ratios. We could rattle them all off. And this is something we're going to expand on and really elaborate on in future lessons. In my opinion, trig is one of the most important things we learn. Trig has really made the world the way it is. Alright, we can build all kinds of things. It's in your technologies, your cell phones even use trig. In the next video, we're going to do page 33 in your iBook. You have to write stuff down. This is still part of the guided notes, so you're going to write it down in here, and then you're going to submit it. Alright, if you don't do this part of the notes, you're not going to get full credit, so stay tuned for the next video.